Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today we're going to be talking about how Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is giving people seizures. Even though people were warned by Disney themselves that this movie had a bunch of flashing lights and there was a, seizure warning given for it by even the Epilepsy Foundation that Disney partnered with to warn people when they go to see this movie. But let's read this article. The force may have been a bit too strong. Multiple Star Wars fans have reported suffering from seizures after watching the latest franchise installment, The Rise of Skywalker. Emily Suzanne Jones, a 19-year-old retail employee in New Orleans who suffers from epilepsy, said strobing from the film was so bad it forced her to leave the movie in the first 30 minutes, and she suffered a seizure in the hallway just outside the showing at AMC Elmwood Palace 20. She called a friend who worked at the theater who arrived to assist just as the seizures began. It lasted from 30 seconds to a minute, Jones told the Post, adding that EMS were called up, but she didn't end up requiring any additional treatment. Jones said she likely averted something much worse by taking a quick dose of her anti-seizure medication, Keppra, right as she felt it coming on. It sounds like Emily here did everything she could to watch this movie, but apparently, it didn't occur to her not to go to this movie, or at least wait till Disney patched the movie in order for people with epilepsy to see it. Patch as in the fact they can make it so it's less harmful to people with epilepsy. But usually this only happens with the home release of the film. She probably didn't want to wait that long, but sadly, if she wanted to see this film, she should have waited till it was released on home video, where it would be easier for her to watch. Emily continues, I recently watched the original trilogy, and it didn't remotely bother me. But this last one is particularly flashy, she said. I wish they had been a little smarter about it. There is so much special effects technology to have that affect you. Wanted but being a little more conscious and safe about it. Megan Rary, a 23-year-old office assistant in Stockton, California, who also has epilepsy, said she managed to sit through the flick even though it triggered both a migraine and a pre-seizure episode medically termed an aura. I thought about leaving the theater, but then I toughed it out. I did get up and go to the bathroom to feel better, she told the Post. Rary, who had a seizure shortly before the film, knew it might be a bad idea going in, but it did so because she was a super fan. Do I wish I listened to my body? Yes, but I liked the movie. You will find it strange that everybody who was mentioned in this article actually liked The Rise of Skywalker, even though they have epilepsy. And they probably didn't really watch the entire movie because they were too busy toughing it out through their seizure symptoms. I find it strange that each of these people mentioned in this article actually liked Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. If I didn't know better, it seems like Disney basically twisted the arm of the writer of this article and basically only got people who gave positive reviews to the movie that basically gave them seizures. Would Disney actually do something like that? Probably yes. I know it's rude of me to accuse Disney of basically trying to control the narrative and say that these people who were suffering epileptic seizures were basically giving Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, good reviews, but I don't trust Disney not to do something like that. Jones and Rary are far from alone. While there is no way to know exactly how many people suffered seizures as a result of Star Wars, at least 3 other people on Twitter reported having them as a result of the film. At least 2 Twitter users said they witnessed people having seizures in the theater they were in. Others still were forced to take emergency preventative measures. Loved the new Star Wars, but my son couldn't watch the parts he was most excited for because of the effects. He closed his eyes and I whispered what was happening, Darcy McCaffrey, a Star Wars fan, said on Twitter before asking both Disney and director J.J. Abrams whether the DVD could be edited in a way people susceptible to seizures can watch. Roughly 3.4 million Americans have epilepsy. According to the Epilepsy Foundation, the seizures reports will likely come as no surprise to Disney, which knew about the strobe risk and actively worked with the foundation to warn epileptic fans about the risks posed by the film. Disney also sent a letter to theater and movie chains worldwide, urging them to warn customers. The father of the boy who was having epileptic symptoms thanks to the rise of Skywalker, he's pretty much of a bastard, isn't he? He cared more for his son and him watching this film than for his son's actual safety. At least that's what it seems to me, while also giving a pretty much a thumbs up review for this film as well in an article about how there are people suffering seizures at Star Wars 9. For God's sakes, what about your son, huh? I know it's manly for a boy to be able to tough it out through such a situation, but the father really should have been more wary of putting his son through that, and not just have him watch a movie with him while he basically could go into a seizure and die. Out of an abundance of caution, we recommend that you provide at your venue, box office, and online and at other appropriate places where your customers will see it a notice containing the following information. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker contains several sequences with imagery and sustained flashing lights that may affect those who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or have other photosensitives, it read. It's far from the first time people with epilepsy run into trouble with popular culture. In 2018, Disney's Incredibles 2 also contained seizure-inducing strobing, which led to warnings posted at some theaters. A 1997 episode of Pokemon in Japan featured a lengthy strobe light, which resulted in hundreds of seizures among unsuspecting viewers. Of course, they mentioned the infamous Pokemon episode that caused a bunch of people to go into epileptic seizures. They always mentioned that incident. It's unclear why Disney kept the strobing despite being aware of the risks to epileptic Star Wars fans. A representative for the company did not respond to a request for comment from the Post. The decision is doubly strange given Abrams' public advocacy on behalf of people with epilepsy. Someone you already know has probably already had a seizure. A friend, a coworker, family member, but they haven't told you because they're afraid of what you might think. He said in a 2016 video for the Epilepsy Foundation, "There is nothing to be ashamed of. That's why it's so important that we talk about it." Yes, JJ, and I'm sure you're not just trying to basically win brownie points with the Twitter crowd here, aren't you? I trust nothing J.J. Abrams says, especially about epilepsy or anything that is basically like a medical illness, because it just comes off as him grandstanding. Star Wars actor Greg Gunberg, who plays Snap Wexley in the new film, has a son with epilepsy and launched a website called Talk About It, entirely dedicated to epilepsy awareness. Now, this guy I kind of trust more. I mean, I trust his opinion, this Greg Gunberg person's, more than JJ's or the guy who took his son who has epilepsy to a Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker showing, knowing it would probably affect his son badly. Because this article is talking about something important. It's talking about people who have epilepsy, but the fact that these people all give glorying reviews to Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker makes me think Disney basically bought the writer of this article and told him just to pick people who will give glorying reviews for their new movie, because this is how it feels to me. They would reach so low as to even try to manipulate people who are suffering physical and mental disabilities to basically just garner a few more bucks from people who look at this and say, "Oh, Disney cares so much. They issued this epilepsy warning in front of their movie," even though they could have fixed their movie so it wouldn't be able to cause epileptic seizure fits. But they insisted on doing it this way, probably because it was the quickest and easiest way to get this film out on time, because they were too busy remaking it and reshooting scenes earlier, well, in the last few months. But Disney did go out of their way to warn people about what could happen, so they've earned that much respect. If you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed, because YouTube is currently doing a subscriber purge and an ad revenue purge, so make sure you're still subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Read Comics They're Bad For You. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. And if you could you also please share this video? Share it on Twitter. share it on Facebook, share it anywhere you think it would do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore, and it would really help me if you could please share this video. Now listen closely, it's that time of the day again. Yes, it's plug-in time. Keep checking back in all my future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book Scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.